began to spread across the U.S., life as we knew it drastically changed. Within a matter of weeks, millions of students and parents in the U.S., they faced the challenge of online schooling. So will this lead to a revolutionary movement for virtual learning and even homeschooling? Joining us to discuss, Christian Barnard, Young Voices contributor and policy analyst at Reason Foundation. Christian, you recently wrote an op-ed on the topic. So what do you think will happen to education when this pandemic is over?
Well, that's the million-dollar question right now. I think some optimists have predicted that this will see this surge in homeschooling and virtual schooling once things return back to some kind of normal. My prediction actually is that we're not going to necessarily see a mass exodus from in-person schooling. I would more predict that we would see this across-the-board adaptation of hybrid learning models. So this would be an approach where kids would go to school in person part-time and do some cyber schooling other parts of the week as well.
That's interesting. Okay, kind of just adjusting overall to how we educate kids. I'm wondering, is that going to vary based on age range as well? I mean, elementary school, that whole learning experience is much different than a collegiate level.
Yeah, that's a great question. Right now, you actually see the highest rates of homeschooling are with high schoolers. So you would imagine that you would see probably more of the innovation or the adaptations happening at these higher levels. At the younger level, the in-person attention is really important. But at these higher levels, what's really important is getting more specialized curriculum. Right? In some districts today, they're already having problems getting a full course load in rural school districts. And so using these online models when you're trying to get kids some high-level content, I think that's where the virtual model could be really helpful.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned high schoolers who might be choosing to opt for homeschooling situations. I'm wondering, when you're deciding whether or not to pursue education at a college or university, are more people now inclined to consider trade schools at this point?
Mm-hmm.
Again, if your options really are online schooling or using a skill that you could use immediately.
Yeah, this is a pivot that we're hoping to see. Obviously, the talk about the high cost of college tuition is making everybody start to consider, well, just different pathways in general for their education. I would love to see some of the vocational type learning happening at the high school level. And you're seeing this with some of the hybrid school models that school districts are using. You're seeing apprenticeship programs, you're seeing hands-on robotics training. So this could lead to possibly a spillover effect into higher education if more kids are being exposed to alternative educational pathways in middle and high school that could carry over into post-secondary education as well.
Yeah, those are some essential skills. Clearly, we've learned what jobs are essential or not at this point, so it's good to have. Good to hear from you, Christian Barnard, Young Voices contributor and policy analyst at Reason Foundation. Thanks for joining us.